we got to talk about one of the U.S. horses in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and that is Journalism, who was your Derby favorite, who danced all the dances and seemingly was the bridesmaid in a lot of those dances, switches jockeys from Umberto Rispoli over to Jose Ortiz. Does it matter?
I think it matters, Mike. I think it matters a lot. I paused for a second there. I want to be very careful. I was talking to my wife about this, actually, and I'm sure she'd love to hear about it last night.
Super interested.
Yeah, she didn't say much, believe it or not, Mike. But I said, me as just a fat guy sitting here in my office in Missouri, I hate getting on jockeys. I really do. I know you probably feel the same way, but it's just natural. We are bettors, and we do get on jockeys' cases. And at the end of the day, we can't ride these horses. And so it is kind of a weird feeling sometimes, right? But I just think it was warranted that we get a different jockey here. I want to be careful how I say it because I do like Umberto Rispoli. I think he's a great jockey, honestly. I bet him a lot in Southern California. I don't think he's done the greatest job with journalism all year long. The Preakness was what it was. You almost like, okay, let's forget about that, where he almost killed the horse and almost got him beat. Past that, I don't think the last two rides have been very good. I actually did a video for Racing News earlier this week where I documented, okay, let's look at the last three races. And when Journalism ran in the Belmont Stakes, which I thought was the best race of his career, he was right there on the pace in third. He was a couple lengths off of it. I shouldn't say he was right there, but he was well within the race. He was sitting right there, a couple lengths behind the speed horse. You go to the Haskell, he's second to last. You go to the Pacific Classic, he's dead last. There doesn't seem to be a lot of motivation from the jockey to try to get him up there a little bit closer. It very well could be the horse. Maybe the horse is a little tired. He doesn't want to kind of run that fast early. But I just feel like it was time. Let's put Jose Ortiz aboard. Maybe he can get him into the race early like he did kind of earlier in his career where we saw his better races. And above anything else, it's a situation where you have been defeated by Fierceness and you've been defeated multiple times by Sovereignty. Change something. It may not work, but you know what the definition of insanity is? Doing the same thing over and over and over again. You change the jock. Hey, it may not work. It may not help at all, but at least you're trying something. So I think it was overdue, to be quite honest.
Look, I sit there and I can't pin any losses on Umberto Rispoli on Journalism, and that's what makes it difficult for me to say, yes, you've got to make this move. However, I look at a horse like Baeza, where we saw Flavien Prat ride him a couple times and then switch back to Barrios, and all of a sudden the horse was running better again. Sometimes a change is due, and this was one of those situations where it feels like a change is due. Obviously, the Preakness ride was not great. We'll see what Jose Ortiz can do on him, but I agree with you. At some point, you have to make some type of move. This has been one that I think a lot of people have been clamoring for, not necessarily to Jose Ortiz, just to somebody else who is a top-tier jockey, because this is a very talented horse. Let's see what happens if you do switch up the hands that are controlling the animal in this case. So I'm not surprised. It doesn't massively upgrade Journalism for me, and I'm someone who likes Journalism more than Baeza. You still haven't taken our head-to-head match. I'm sure at some point you may consider it. The pre-entries are out now. Now is the time, Aaron. You got to stop chickening out. But look, this is to me a positive move, although I don't know if it really changes my idea that he is a win candidate in the race just because of the jockey switch.
No, I agree with that, and I'm the first to say I'm not sure that it's going to matter, but I do, honestly, Mike, I do think it matters some. I really do. And look, you don't want to go too harsh on Rispoli, and I actually agree with what you just said. I don't really look at any of the losses and say, well, that was the jockey's fault, but I do look at some of the rides and go, I think it could have been a little bit better. Like, think back to the Santa Anita Derby when he was he broke really well. It looked like he was going to be towards the front. Then he took him back, and then he let Barnes kind of mess with him. And then he barely beats Baeza, and it's just kind of like, I don't know that was really the rider did a great job there. I think the horse did a great job. So I think it matters a little bit. Like I said, maybe this is also just a little bit of a tired horse. That is possible for sure after how many races he's been in. But, yeah, you got to try to do something different. You got to try to shake it up. You see this happen in regular sports all the time, right? A team's going through a slump, and, you fire the coach or whatever. And a lot of times, does it make a big difference? No, but sometimes it does. And, again, it's just, hey, this isn't working. Let's try something different.
Well, and this happens in horse racing every single weekend, and I don't know, 400 times every Saturday. Like, there are so many different jockey moves. It's just because this is journalism. This is because it's in the Breeders' Cup Classic. You're getting more publicity about it. But it's very common that you have jockeys taking off, jockeys putting on specific horses, and so it's the spotlight that makes the difference here in this case, specifically because of the horse and the race.